that name. Giving praise and thanksgiving for 60 years. Happy 60th anniversary. Now, we've heard that prayer is communion between God, or you and God, and that union takes place in the innermost part of our being. Prayer in pictures is also a form of communion or communication with God. Prayer in pictures is a success formula that Catherine Ponder writes about in her book, The Prospering Power of Prayer. This formula is based on how an engineer was able to apply his studies of the spiritual laws of prosperity in a practical way to get the results he needed. This man realized that in order for him to work through the seeming challenges in his life, he was going to have to develop faith and confidence not only in God, but in the spiritual laws of prosperity and himself. So being an engineer, he knew how to design. His trade was building. He was trained in how to make things run, how to take charge of technical machinery and guide its course. So he did what engineers do. He designed his success formula and called it the Wheel of Fortune. You see, an engineer is on a different level than the operator of the machinery that they built. For instance, Deepak Chopra writes in his book, The Book of Secrets, the pilot feels more in control than the passenger because he has been trained to fly. He knows the aircraft and understands the plane's controls. Therefore, he has no reason to panic, even though in back of his mind, the danger of mechanical failure is always present. The designer of the jet planes, who can build any craft he wants based on the principles of flight, occupies a position of greater control than the pilot, because if he kept on experimenting with various designs, he said, he could come up with a plane that would be incapable of crashing. Now, that got me to thinking. We too are engineers. We are spiritual engineers, and as spiritual engineers, we have been trained in spiritual law, like the law of demonstration. We understand the law of mind action, that it is like begets like. But like the designer of the jets, we can keep on experimenting with the principles of prosperity until we demonstrate the good we desire. Y'all don't hear me? As spiritual engineers, we understand the science behind whatever you want. See yourself having it. You see, in order to bring the good that you desire into manifestation or into your experience, you have to visualize it. See yourself in prosperous circumstances. Believe it, accept it, know it, and allow the law to work for you. And just like the mechanical engineer knows how to guide the course of a machine, the technique of visualization or prayer pictures help you to direct the attention of your mind toward the good you desire. As you begin to develop your visualization skills and learn to properly use your gift of imagination, you will be able to see yourself being, doing, and having whatever it is you want to have. You know, as we continue to work with these spiritual laws of prosperity, you have to open your inner eye. Did you hear me? What am I saying here? I am saying that you've got to start seeing with your mind's eye, the inner eye of your imagination. Because in reality, seeing with the inner eye is more powerful than seeing with the physical eye. Prayer in pictures is the blueprint of what is seen in the inner eye. It is the plan, the design for your end result. Just like the engineer or the architect has an original design to follow, prayer in pictures gives the universal mind a pattern to follow. Catherine Ponder said, results have to be planned, and prosperity is a planned result. In her book, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, she shares a story of the power of the master plan. She starts out by quoting Fillmore. Charles Fillmore once described the terrific power of the imagination when he wrote, "Imagination gives man the ability to project himself through time and space and rise above all limitations." Now, she went on to tell the story about how Fillmore's son, Rickard Fillmore, how he would sit and look out the windows and see buildings and walkways and fountains and shrubbery all around the beautiful grounds. And then they hit a pocket of when they went through a depression period. He still sat and saw the buildings and everything else. Well, you know the end of the story. Prayer in pictures is forming the mental image of a desired thing in your mind. And as you hold that image, your mind power of imagination will go to work for you to produce the visible results of what you have been imaging. Praying in pictures is what I call a training program for the mind. Did you hear me? Training program for the mind. Catherine Ponder said, whatever the mind is taught to expect, that it will build, produce, and bring forth. So what did this engineer do? His first thing is that he had to regard God as a rich, loving, all-providing Father. This is a good start, a good starting place. Every day, we need to declare and affirm, God is my true source of supply. Say that. God is my true source of supply. Keep all the channels of your mind open to receive prosperity and how it may come to you. Affirm that I live confidently each day, knowing that the source of my supply is God working through me, directing me. Secondly, he understood and stated in his human inability to handle his seeming problems. Don't let your ego make you think you can handle it. You are not the doer. Stop believing that you are alone. The truth is you are not alone. And whether you realize it or not, you are not the doer of what you do. Christ pointed it out. It is not I, but the Father that does the work. So rather than trying to do it on your own, become a channel for the power of God to flow through you. Learn how to synthesize your mind with the one mind and affirm your oneness with the presence of God, with the Spirit of God, with the creative power of God, with the healing power of God, with the love of God, with the unlimited supply of God, with the prospering power of God. Thirdly, he gave thanks. Now, we know what giving thanks would do. Burnett, you talked all about that. So I'm just going to jump over. Make a wheel of fortune that will help you project your mind through time and space, raising you above limitations and bring forth the results that you desire. So many of you already know about this wheel of fortune, But if this is your first time hearing about it, get in a class. But for now, in your mind's eye, 6 areas of your life, think about what does it look like for you when you grow spiritually? Health, your work, your possessions, your finances, your vacations. Now, because there is power also in the spoken word, let us close with an empowering affirmation that I learned when I went with Pam Frazier in her prison ministry, in the Spirit Ministries. This empowering affirmation is called Empower Yourself. I have been using this affirmation with the women and men in recovery, and they love it so much that they do it every day. Now, there's power. I want to feel the vibration, and I want you all to speak this like you know what you're doing. I'm the leader. I will say God is, and when I say God is, you say I am, okay? When I say Jehovah Jireh, you say the Lord will provide. You got it? When I say when, you say now. You got it? God is. God is. God is. Jehovah Jireh. Jehovah Jireh. Jehovah Jireh. When? 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 I gotta stop, huh? Y'all practice with it because my people over in the Spirit, they make the walls shake. And so